Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak, my man, Steve Kallas right there. How you doing, my friend?
Well, good, Joe. Great to be with you as always.
You too. Selection Sunday coming up in a couple days, but we're still in the frenzy of NFL free agency. A crazy one this year. Not people amazingly 1 month ago, Howie bleeds for the city, and now they want him to bleed out in Philly because he got rid of half the defense, and everyone has to relax a little bit. I think he might have been a little overzealous when they won this first Super Bowl in 18. He kept everyone, and they got old real quick, but I know what he's trying to do. I think maybe the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade, which didn't have to happen. I think that really irks some people, but it happened. Your thoughts on free agency? The quarterbacks, I mean, still there are some teams still trying to piecemeal. Sam Darnold goes to the Seahawks. Geno Smith goes to the Raiders. Aaron Rodgers is still out there. He said he needs about a month. I don't know what he's been doing since they were eliminated, like, in October. But and then you have Russell Wilson looking for a home. Giants are thinking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why they're not thinking about either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward if he's still there. Tennessee, I know, has the first pick. I don't think they're happy with what's his name? Will the mayonnaise kid, the kid with the big arms but can't play football. Will I forgot his name. So the quarterback, but I think they should go pick a quarterback here, but we shall see. What do you think so far?
Well, I think Russell Wilson saw the Browns yesterday, and then he was flying to New York to see the Giants today. I guess he's
Levis, sorry, Levis.
and Rodgers. People are saying maybe the Giants, maybe the Steelers. I think it would almost be hysterical, and I'm a Giants fan. If Rodgers has the 2 years he had in playing for the Jets, and now he comes over to the Giants, neither team has a very good offensive line, and I think that's what Rodgers needs more than even Russell Wilson, frankly. Russell Wilson gets sacked a lot, as you know, but younger, knows how to slide, has more athletic ability. Rodgers is not the Rodgers of old. His numbers weren't terrible when you look at
They
them,
really
but
weren't terrible.
but I don't know where these guys where they land. But Sam Darnold. I don't want to say I'm sorry. I feel bad for Sam Darnold, but 3 years, 100 million, and his team walked out on him after he had an incredible year. Yes, as we've discussed in the past, not very good in the big game. Was bad in the playoff game, was bad in that final game. But he gets 3 years and 100 million. I don't know. I shouldn't feel sorry for him, but when Daniel Jones got 4 years, 40 million a year, and all those other quarterbacks who have not won anything get 50 plus, I thought he'd be a little closer. I'm waiting to see what the 49ers do with Purdy. Because you got to put Purdy on the level with those 50, $55 million QBs. We talked about the list. There's like six of them. Trevor Lawrence is the one that pops out in my
I
mind.
certainly wouldn't. I certainly
And,
wouldn't.
and they all tap off with Dak at 60.
Yeah,
Am I
well, Josh Allen just came out. He got 55 a year. He said I didn't need to be. What's 5 million going to do? He said this. He gets it. What's 5 million going to do?
Well, and the behind the scenes thing and the beautiful thing if you're a Chiefs fan, which I'm not, and you probably know this, Chris Jones and Mahomes, they restructured their deals and now suddenly, poof, I don't know how all this works, Joe, but poof, the Chiefs have 50 million in cap space.
Yes, they do.
And they could do some good with that. But just, that's what Brady did for years. If you look at the key parts of Brady's life as a big time quarterback for the Patriots, he never made top dollar. And of course, everyone say, "Oh yeah, well his wife was making 30 million a year." Whatever. He did the right thing, and I think Mahomes really looks at Tom Brady's career. He wants to get there. Obviously, the Eagles blew a big hole in that because if the Chiefs don't improve their offensive line a lot, they're going to be in trouble with whatever that rushing side from the other team they're going to play. Can they beat Allen again? Is it all in their head now? We talked about this. The reason I picked the Chiefs to beat the Bills was why? They were 0-3 in the playoffs,
Right.
0-4. Will
Yeah.
they be 0-5 if it all happens again? But, they got to really, and they let Tooney go. You know that whole story? They let Tooney go because it was like a money thing or something. Tooney, he gets all the credit in the world for playing left tackle. He wasn't great there, but he was okay to good.
Yeah, but wait, he was great at the other position. Why do you need to move him?
Well, because their left tackle was getting slaughtered and they had nobody to
No, no,
replace him.
I'm sorry. I don't mean in the game. I
Oh,
mean,
now you mean?
yeah,
Yeah, I thought I saw somewhere it was a money thing now. They have guards.
but they just freed up 50 million.
I don't have the answer. Maybe they didn't know this was going to happen this way. I don't know. Tooney must be older because he played on Super Bowl wins with the Patriots, so he's been around for a
Now
while.
he's with the Bears. The Bears really did a nice job with their offensive line. None of them are homegrown, though. They paid extra for that offensive line. The Bears did. It looks like Ben Johnson doing some good things. A lot of people have them as the highest rated free agents. You know, they won free agency.
Yeah, and I haven't seen these in negotiations, but for Cooper Cup, a lot of people think the Bears could be an option. Seattle could be an option, with their new quarterback, the ex-Viking. And this is really, although I will mention this, I should have told Kallas, but I will mention this. So they asked our guy Louis Riddick, who's got the best thing so far, and he said the Patriots. Now the Patriots got Carlton Davis the third, an excellent. I'm trying to think if he was on the Bucks when they won the Super Bowl. I think he was. He's a real good corner, 3 years, 60 million. They get linebackers Harold Landry and Robert Spillane. They get Milton Williams, who's a big catch, right? I know you told me he didn't have that many socks,
He
but
had
he's
5 sacks this year.
4 years, 104 million, 63 guaranteed by the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick had nothing to do with that. I know he's long gone. But what was the problem for them last year? Their offensive line. They got Morgan Moses, an offensive tackle. They gave him 3 years, 24 million. That's the only guy. They're going to be one of those. I got a super defense team again, which they've had on and off for the last few years, but they always relied on their defense. Now this defense is going to be real good, but
Vrabel's a defensive guy.
I know, but I just don't know. There seems to be questions. There should be something on offense. Still have, I know they did have a lot of money. Just a couple of other quick things. Daniel Jones, 1 year, 14 million to back up the Colts after, that 4 year, 40 million. But you know what? He might be better than Richardson. Richardson
He
had the low.
actually, with good coaching in a better spot, he might be okay.
Right. Well, now what are you doing if you're in New York? You're looking at what was Geno Smith here? What was Sam Darnold here? What are they now? Change of scenery, better team,
Coaching.
better O lines. So I don't know. Your former Eagle, Evan Ingram, 2 years with Denver. I think that's a help. Um, there's a Javon Holland goes to the Giants, 3 years, 45 million. He's a real good safety. But once again, to me, Giant fan, they need an offensive line or they have nothing. When you see the over-unders come out, did the team really do enough to at least be in some kind of convention? Convention. If they can be competitive.
Attention, yeah.
And, it seems when the Jets and Giants come out every year, they're either 4 games or 5 games. Well, if they get up to 6 games or 7 games, are you happy? I don't think so. Not really. The 49ers have let a lot of guys go. I don't know what they're going to do. I was surprised the Chiefs let DeAndre Hopkins go. You're right about they got 50 million now, so I don't have the answer. But 1 year, 5 million with the Ravens, he can help the Ravens. I'm surprised they let him go. The 49ers let Leonard Floyd go. Leonard Floyd has
Did
had
everybody go?
Leonard Floyd has had 8.5 sacks last year, second on the team, but he's had at least 8 sacks every year he's in the league. And so he signs with the Falcons 1 year, 10 million. So he's betting on himself. But here's a newsflash. He's good enough to bet on himself, I think. So, and there's finally for me anyway, the whole Demarcus Lawrence thing. I think he said the truth when they interviewed him. And he said, and he's going to Seattle now. Seattle's got Sam Darnold. But they're losing DK Metcalf, right? He's gone already.
They already lost him. He went to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
he's at the Steelers. Um, I don't know, but Demarcus Lawrence, and I guess you love it when they shouldn't do it. I think, but when they talk bluntly, he goes, "Well, I knew I wasn't going to win on the Cowboys."
Which wasn't
I,
a shot at Micah. Micah took it personally.
right, and yeah, they had that spitting contest, but I think he's right. For whatever reason, their line is not what it used to be. The one guy's now retiring. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And I just think I don't know that there's any reason to say that, but it seems more and more, the more this happens in football. Oh, by the way, Joey Bosa and
Yeah, he
Ovie,
went 1 year to the
the,
Bills. You don't
the
think
Bills, that's going to help the Bills. Now, the Bills did cut Von Miller, but Von Miller wasn't Von Miller.
he was done?
Right. I don't think Joey Bosa has done it all. I think he's going to help them a lot. And I think that hurts the Chargers, who I think I told you I had a lot of respect for him, but I don't think so now. Herbert, now twice in playoff games, 0 for 2, and not very good. And I thought he lost all his wide receivers, right? He lost Keenan Allen, he lost Mike Williams. Those guys are big time receivers. So I don't see them, doing a whole lot. But we'll have to see what happens. So much happens. You got to wait till the dust settles, which it's settling now by Friday. Um, but it'll be interesting when you go into August when you're going to start predicting these things and we're going to start working on them. But then you'll have a real sense of who the teams are, who's on them. You know, did the Chiefs help their O line? Did the Giants and Jets, and nobody cares about, help their O line? But the Chiefs, in terms of competing again, it seems to me Buffalo got better just getting Joey Bosa.
He did. That might get
So
him over the hump.
So, as much as I love Chris Jones, which and God bless them both, this is what you have to do, I think, to be competitive with superstars. And by superstars, I mean quarterbacks 50, 55, 60, Chris Jones, whatever he gets paid. God bless them. But I think when they look back on Tom Brady's career, when they write the book, one of the biggest things he did as a superstar quarterback is not take all the money.
Smart. Smart. That's what, unselfish, smart. And he did have, his wife was the breadwinner. But anyway, good stuff. Let's talk a little NBA. Steph Curry, 4,000 3-pointers. He'd probably have, 4,000 if they moved it back like you want him to do, because he can hit from anywhere. I mean, he's just unbelievable. But that's pretty impressive. 4,000. Luke had 45 last night, but they still lost. The Lakers did. They don't have LeBron. Jamal Bridges, big 3-pointer the other night. Halliburton, an amazing ending the other night. Things are getting a little exciting, but does anyone think OKC is a legitimate contender? I mean, Brian Windhorst reported that the other day that no one really respects them.
I think they're a legitimate contender, but I think we talked about them and the Cavaliers, at least in my view, that this will be
Twice
their
they've won 15 games this year. That's impressive.
yeah, but this is the first time they're going to be in some really, really big games, I think. And by really, really big games, I mean to go to the conference final. And then if you get to the conference final, to go to the championship round. Those are incredibly pressurized. We think we know what it's about, but then you get on the court in a game like this, that's for everything. And it's just a different deal in every sport. It's just a different deal. So I think OKC and Cleveland are the two best teams right now. Do I think they're going to be in the finals? That would be a very tall order when you're playing against the teams you have to play against. I mean, there's some, you want to play the Celtics? You're the Cavaliers. You want to play the Celtics? You have home court advantage. You want to play the Celtics with 7 games? That's going to be very, very tough, I think. Um, but yeah, Curry 4,000, now the latest thing on, I don't know if it was First Take or Get Up or whatever those shows are. Um, the question now is Curry in the conversation to be the GOAT? I'm sorry, Curry's not in the conversation to be the GOAT. Is he a great player? Absolutely. Is he the greatest shooter of all time? I guess he is. When I look at these 4,000 3-pointers now, you have to go back to the old days when there was no 3-point. And even when the 3-pointer started, what did teams take? 4 a game, 5 a game? You took it when you were down 2 or down 3 and desperate. You wanted to win the game or tie the game. This wasn't people just ran their whole, as the algorithms have taken over, right? The analytics have taken over. You're a fool to shoot a 2, they say. Just shoot 3s. But you see Kawhi, one of the greatest mid-range shooters of all time. There's still room for those guys. But I'll just give you 2 names. Jerry West from the corner is a guard, but he took a lot of corner jump shots. He'd be the greatest corner jump shooter in the history of the NBA if they had a 3-point line. Pete Maravich. Pete Maravich, he used to just practice crossing half court and shooting. Actually did it in some college games to shoot from inside half court when you wouldn't take an 18, 20, you wouldn't take a 20-footer or a 22-footer. Pete Maravich, and the only year he played it was the first year. You know this. It was the first year they had the 3-point line. He was 6 for 9 from three. Now you can tell me that's the smallest sample in the world, and you're right. But it's Pete Maravich. He did it in college.
Right.
Guy, Maravich averaged 44.5 a game for 3 years. Couldn't play his first year. They had a guy who wrote a book. I think it was called Showtime, actually, and it was not referring to the Lakers. I think it was called Showtime. There was a book written about Maravich where a guy went through every game that he played in college, and he determined that if there was a 3-point line, Maravich would have had 9 3-pointers a game. Now, I say to you, if there was a 3-point line, he would have had a lot more than 9 3 because he would have just shot from behind the arc.
Right.
So is Curry the GOAT? I don't buy into that. Did Curry change the game? Yes.
Yeah.
But the reason Curry changed the game is because the game changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys behind the scenes who will tell you, not publicly, but there's a lot of guys who will tell you the three has ruined basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Someday we're going to have it where there's going to be like 73s in a game.
Yeah.
And the purpose of basketball from the 1890s was what? Get the ball as close to the basket as you can for the easiest shot you can take.
Mm-hmm.
And what's basketball today? The exact opposite.
Yeah.
Run to the 3-point line, 3-on-2 fast break.
Sure.
One guy, and now two guys run to the 3-point line, and you're the point guard. You give it to the better guy who can shoot it, whatever, because he's stopping at the 3-point line.
Right.
So I've never really been in love with the 3-point line. Look, it was a joke in the NBA, right? They did it as a joke, but the NBA didn't take the red, white, and blue basketball, which was
You
a
get
joke.
50% more points when you hit a three, so why not?
Right. So look, I'm not saying the analytics are wrong. I'm just saying it's not the game of basketball as it once was. And again, all you're going to do is have guys run behind the arc. And still, to me, the defenses haven't caught up because you see when they're down 3 and there's 5 seconds left, you see 3 or 4 of the 5 guys inside the 3-point
Yeah,
line.
you don't need to
If he
guard
throws it
them.
in there, what do you say? Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Throw it down, cut it to one.
Guard the other two, right?
So I find it disappointing, but is he an all-time great, first ballot Hall of Famer? Absolutely. The other thing I wanted to say about Bridges, who should have been on the Sixers, but that's like 3 teams ago now or 4 teams ago.
Yeah, right.
As I told you off the air, Bridges went to Tom Thibodeau. Now, I think Bridges is great. The reason he's great is because he can defend.
Right, and he does defend.
And he does defend. So he's a big help to them. But he went to Thibodeau and said, could you please not play the starters so many minutes? Now, that's a hard thing to an old-time guy named Thibodeau. I don't know what he said in response, but the next game, as you said, Bridges hits a 3 at the buzzer, and it was an overtime game, and Bridges played 41 minutes. So maybe that's Thibodeau's response.
Yeah, right.
Advice. Get out there.
Get out there.
Get out there. 41 minutes, admittedly out of 53, but it's still 41 minutes.
He's old school.
And plus, they don't have Brunson now, so these guys are going to play more. I don't know if he took him to the side and said, we don't have Brunson.
Yeah.
You can argue Brunson's their best player. He's had a heck of a year. He's unstoppable. His defense, like a lot of these guys' defense, but Bridges is the real deal. I mean, I love him. We loved him. We thought he was one of the Sixers draft night because his mother worked there. And what they traded him 3 hours later? They traded him that night, right?
It wasn't even 3 hours. It was terrible. They were having a party.
I mean, I shouldn't laugh because I thought he was a perfect fit for those guys. Villanova guy, knows the area, real good player, real good defender, which is, Hart's a real good defender. They got a lot of those Villanova guys who can defend. So the final thing I'll say is, not just gets 45, but he's going to need 45 for them to be in the game. They lost by 20 to the Bucks. Why? No LeBron. And I saw the chart. They have 6 games in 8 days. They're the only team in the NBA that has 6 games in 8 days. And LeBron's going to miss certainly some and maybe all of them because he's got a groin pull. And you can't mess with that. He's got to be healthy. They've made a run now. They're 40-24. They've made a run. They were around 500. The Warriors are 38-28. They were around 500. Those are not teams you want to play in the playoffs because of their experience, their championship calendar. calendar, character, et cetera,
Mhm.
et cetera. They have so much experience, but they've turned it around. They both were in the 7 to 10 thing for a long time, for a long time.
Yeah,
And finally, the team that's not going to make it, I can't believe it, but they're not, is KD. They lost another game last night. They're like six.
never left Golden State.
Huh?
Should have never left Golden State.
Yeah, well, supposedly there was some talk about that at the trade deadline. He said he didn't want to be traded. He's got Booker. I mean, they seem to have a team on paper, but they're just not that good. I'm surprised. I don't know why. I'm just looking for their last game, which I should have here. Yeah. The Rockets beat them 111 to 104 on Wednesday. They're 30 and 36, the Suns. Now the Rockets are good this year. They're 41 and 25. To me, they fall into that same category. How many champions do you have on the team? How many times have you played in the conference final? The answer is zero or very small.
Mhm.
But the Suns with KD, they're 30 and 36. They're trying to get to 10th place. I
Yeah,
heard an interview with Booker the other day. We played poorly. We got to turn it around. We just want to get into the play in, and then anything can happen. I don't necessarily agree with that, but as we see in the NHL, 8 seeds can win the Stanley Cup, so you
it
never know.
can. Yeah, it's absolutely can.
Which I'll turn the NHL over to you.
Yeah, speaking of the NHL, the Ovie watch still going on. I believe he had a goal this week, just one goal. Is he 9 away? I believe he's 9 away,
Of,
and
of breaking the record, right?
breaking the record. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's closing in. He's closing in. He still has, what is it, March? It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight because he's got about a month left. Um, if he doesn't do it, he's coming back next year in the beginning of the year, and
of course.
he'll break it next year. But
Hey, the Caps are good. The Caps are in the mix.
they are. They were in first place last time I checked. Yeah, Caps are good this year. I still think Florida's the odds-on favorite, certainly since they have Brad Marchand now. But there's some good teams. There's some good teams can kind of, maybe steal it from them. But it took them 7 games to knock off the Oilers last year. But yeah, we'll see. Could be Ovie could break it, win a cup, and then go retire. Don't think he's going to do
Maybe.
that though. He likes playing, and he's doesn't get hurt that. I know he broke his leg. He was right back, in a month. It seemed like 6 weeks. I thought that would really deter him this year, and he'd, be down. And remember, he only had 9 goals last year at the All-Star break. I'm surprised he's really. I thought that might be the beginning of a decline for Ovie, but no, he
You ain't
cranked it up
kidding.
this year. And
Well,
no
I'm gonna
back.
guess. I'm gonna guess at a minimum he wants 900 and maybe 1,000.
Yeah, he'll break now. Oh, thousands.
Well, look, he's
No.
tough. He's in shape. I don't know how he does it. He broke his leg and look how he came back. I mean, but
Yeah,
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. He's got one cup. Everybody wants two when they have one, but that might be, I broke this record. I won a cup. What more is there for me to do?
break. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. He still likes playing. It seems like, you know what I mean. He hasn't really
I agree.
hasn't slipped too much. So pretty durable. Some guy like LeBron. LeBron, 42, still one of the best players in the game.
Nothing against LeBron. Hockey's a hell of a lot tougher.
Oh, totally, totally. Especially in the playoffs when you have a game every other night. You're getting banged around. And the intensity level reaches a new level in the playoffs. But if you're a good team and you go deep, it could be 2 months of hot. It's like another season. So that is tough. That is tough. But they're hockey players. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So we shall see. Good stuff, brother. We'll continue the free agency watch. See what happens. We'll be back next week. A lot of this goes, all this team reforming and roster building could go to the next trade deadline, the middle of next year, and often does, especially if you're in Philadelphia. But you can catch Steve's stuff on his daily Facebook forum page, Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas, videos on westchestercountypost.com, this podcast on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and all the audio channels. And you can catch us every Friday, not during the season, sometimes Saturday, but usually Friday morning. It's usually posted by lunchtime on Friday. Thanks, Steve. Good stuff, man. We'll have a good weekend. We'll catch you next time.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Joe.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it, folks. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.